So what we need to do is do a sound check. Let's do a sound check.
Okay, it should be good.
Check, check, check.
Yeah, it will. It
Hey,
should. It should be.
I know. Well, it's still playing.
I know. Well, I'm looking over here and it's green and lighting up. So.
Okay, it just finished.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, we got sound.
Hey!
Hey, thank God.
Look, we're slowly becoming professionals over time.
Please don't try this at home, folks. Well, hello and welcome. Golly, this is just kind of wacko over here. Hello and welcome to a brand new format, actually, of Hope for Resistance. Aaron, my son, and I
Hi.
are changing the format a little bit based on your feedback. We're going to do a 2-hour format running from 3 to 5 Central Time, and wow, and we have to do that because there are so
So
many.
many things, especially this week because I would so some for those that are watching. So my oldest daughter, she graduated Army BCT. Yay! We were
Yeah.
really proud of her. We drove out to South Carolina to see her, to pick her up, and when we had a family day, and then so we got back. I think we actually got back Thursday. No, it was Friday night because we just drove straight through.
Yes.
And then I got sick. I probably still, if I sound a little sick, I had an upper respiratory infection. It was awesome.
Oh,
All Gabby's fault. All her fault.
I saw that. Yeah.
And then so I'm still getting over that. And then this, so we didn't, but it was good that we didn't record Sunday because I feel like crap.
Oh, yeah.
And then this whole week, yeah, just getting ready for school. School started up for us, so everybody's back in school. And
Well, I will say it
yeah.
actually worked because with some of the my spouse's health issues, and then we had a dog that had a bad day. And I mean, do I love being here? Called the vet in the morning. The vet was at our house that afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
The vet examined the dog, gave the dog a shot, and wrote 2 prescriptions. And the total for the visit, the shot, and the prescriptions was right around $40.
Oh, okay. That's
So
actually pretty reasonable.
you think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Try and take your dog to the vet, get a shot, and 2 prescriptions for $40.
I don't have a dog. I got kids, and my medical insurance fortunately
I
does pretty good for us. So
Yeah, that is good. Well, back when we had dogs in the States, that visit would have been, I don't know, 150 bucks
yeah,
maybe.
been pricey.
Little pricey. And then we had an electrical challenge.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
That was fun. But again, got that fixed for the price of probably a breaker and a breaker box.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's not bad. We
And have light. Yay.
yeah, that was honestly that was gonna be the question, was if we did wind up recording the show, where were you gonna sit? How is it gonna be the same if you don't have
Well, here was the
the
interesting thing about
wall?
that. Yeah, this was the wall. Yes, we must have the wall. So the interesting thing about the way things are wired where we are is what the main breaker, I guess, has 2 sections,
Mm-hmm.
and one leg or one phase, I guess is what they call it, of the breaker had gone bad. So throughout, I mean, we've got a fairly good sized house. Throughout the majority of the house, none of the overhead lights worked, but many of the outlets worked. So the light that I have shining on me is in an outlet that worked. And
Okay.
in the office, the modem and router are plugged into one of the outlets that worked. So
It'd have been
I
good. It worked. It'll work.
would have been good. The only reason I had notified you that there might be a problem was he would have had to shut down the electricity.
Everything. Yeah, everything. Yeah.
But the crazy thing is from the time he got here, had to go to the store and get the correct breakers in the breaker box, and came back and repaired it. It was only about an hour and a half.
Nice.
I'm telling you. And it cost $120 labor and parts.
Nice. Very, very nice.
Yeah, think?
Yeah, that's good. Awesome.
That's
Well,
really good.
where do you want to start on this 2 week, after a 2 week hiatus in this political climate?
So
What is the first shit pile that you want to get your foot stuck in?
I'm gonna post a list. I'm not gonna read it, but I want you to see that I have posted a list, and it says so many things.
That's why we call the episode that.
The commentary from people who are trying to benefit from the show, the podcast that we do, is what the hell is happening? What are all the things happening, and what am I supposed to do? Because there are so many things. This list that I'm post isn't even specific.
Right.
So it's the umbrella things. But I think when you ask that question about what are we specifically going to talk about, I
And
would say there's like four, to me, there's four things right now. The Epstein files are at the top of my list. You,
we've done several episodes on that. So I
and so
don't think we're
I
going to
don't see,
deep dive any
yeah,
Epstein details.
we're not going to keep talking about it, but the Epstein files
Yeah.
need to be released, and there's reasons why it's not. And I am not even entertaining the conversation anymore that it's Biden's fault. So fuck off with that noise. But this week, and then we had the Obama.
Can I also interject that even if your argument is that Biden could have released him, but he didn't. And the reason why he didn't is because he's in them or Obama's in them. I'll tell you what, if Biden or Obama are in the Epstein files, lock their ass up too.
Lock their ass up.
Okay, I'm not. We're here at the Hopeful Resistance podcast. We are not cultist. Okay, I don't give a fuck if someone that I like politically is in those files. Straight to jail. Just
No.
do not pass go.
I think the MAGA mentality is they expect us to feel the same way they do.
Right.
They don't want the files released because they literally cannot mentally handle the concept that he be in. No,
Yeah.
they know it's in there.
Yeah.
They
Well,
know
of course
he's
he
in.
is. Of course he is. Yeah.
They can't handle that concept.
Right. Because some of them have
So,
whole ass cut their family members off and stuff. I mean, like some of these people have just like
you have just gone
this is
down
all
the
they
road.
have.
I know you've lost your entire family, so now all you have is this belief that
Yeah.
the sky is orange. We're like, right?
Yeah.
So we have the Epstein files, which we are no longer going to spend time on, and then we have the Obama and the Russian thing that I'm absolutely only going to address in this moment. I finally, y'all know we've talked about Rush before, and we've talked about trying to reach Rush, trying to deal with Rush's MAGA mentality. But this week, even I have a line. And the line this week for me was, the absolute refusal to believe that Trump had any reason to release Epstein files. But then he goes down the rabbit hole of what about the 23 Secret Service people that have come forward and said that Obama was colluding with the Russians in the 2020 election. My response to that was, what about the 23 women who say that Epstein and Trump raped them?
Yeah, I mean it's
you don't have 23 Secret Service depositions.
and the whataboutism it becomes exhausting after a time. Like because this is like I told you, or like I suggested, I didn't tell you. Like I suggested, where it's like if anytime that they want to pivot to another thing, just grant it to them and then reaffirm back to the original argument. You know what? Fine, fine, whatever. I don't care. Yeah, fine. Obama was colluding with the Russians. What does that have to do with the Epstein? Yeah, what does that have to do with the Epstein? With Trump not releasing the Epstein files?
You read the transcript of
Yeah.
that conversation. So we're not even going to address Epstein. We're not going to address the Obama thing. The highlights, I think the two biggest things that we can talk about today, among many others, is the gay marriage. I'm calling it a kerfluffle right now because, as you pointed out, there's not been any legal action filed.
Right.
And the other thing, which has actually happened, is for lack of a better phrase, takeover of Washington, D.C. So pick one. What's your hot
button? Why don't we talk about the gay marriage or the attempt, I guess, the at some
right?
point attempt to overturn gay marriage. I
I don't even see how they could do that.
Well, and the thing that I am questioning, and I should probably reach out to our legal friend and ask him his opinion. The
Mhm.
reason I don't understand how it could overturn the law if they grant this one woman, uh, her First Amendment right. You know what I mean? Like if they were like, okay, and again, I just don't
And
know.
why don't we go back because you're better at this than I am. Would you go back and summarize what the whole thing is?
Okay,
Because it's important. Context is important about
yes.
this.
So back in 2015, Kim Davis, if you're not familiar who that is, she was a county clerk who they had just passed the Obergefell versus Hodges verdict, which basically said, hey, gay marriage is legal. And Kim Davis was like a mega conservative county clerk who was refusing to give marriage licenses to same-sex couples, and her argument was that it was against her First Amendment right because she was religiously against providing or against gay marriage.
And
So
can we pause for 1 second? I am unclear, and maybe this is a rabbit hole you can say we'll talk about in a minute. She could say to them as she hands them their license, I disagree with this.
yes,
But her First Amendment right to free speech I don't understand how that applies to her responsibility as a county clerk to perform a function.
I would. That is what the courts argued. Like, too bad, bitch. If you're, I mean, They didn't
They
say
probably didn't put
they were
big
obviously a little more professional than I would have been. There's a reason I'm not on the Supreme Court. No,
lack of a law degree being the first
yeah,
one.
being the first one, but the second one is because I'd be like, too bad, bitch,
All right.
and then I hit the gap. No, um, but I'll say this as well. The other thing that drives me crazy about the marriage argument that the conservatards love to use is they like to say, "Well, I'm against gay marriage." What does that have to do with the legally binding state document that's not even a religious thing? Like we're talking about,
Because remember, conservative religion is about control.
yeah, and that
Conservative religion is about control, not compassion. And I would also point out this is a perfect example of watch what these motherfuckers say. Because at this moment, I have all but confirmed with 100% that she's had 3 marriages and had 3 or 4 marriages. And her first marriage, she cheated on him with her third husband
mm-hmm.
and got pregnant. I mean, this woman is not the poster
It's a poster child of.
sanctity of marriage, that's the bullshit that I get so tired of hearing all the time is the sanctity of marriage and traditional values. And then, you come to
All the
find out
time.
over and over and over again. Oh, not a cross-dresser, not a transsexual, not a homosexual or a lesbian or any of these things that you're going crazy for. Why
Yeah.
don't they go after domestic violence perpetrators? Why don't they go after pedophiles? But no,
We know why, because they're hypocrites. It's not about. It's just what it is. But it's back to the, I guess, more context. So
sorry.
no, it's okay.
I'm out of
That's the
rabbit
show. Okay, if you're
hole.
watching, that's the fucking show right there. That's the whole
That's right.
show. That's all we're doing here.
That's just what happens, guys. In rabbit holes, out of the rabbit hole. There's a rabbit hole.
So okay, so I don't have the notes about exactly what happened to her, but I know that there were some damages that she had to pay. There was, there was all kinds, like there were just repercussions for she
She's
lost
been
her job, she went to jail. There were
she's been out of the news for a decade.
Yeah. So now she got Liberty Counsel. If you're not familiar with who Liberty Counsel is, I see mom turning out of the corner of my eye. For those that aren't familiar, Liberty Counsel is basically like their Christian legal team.
Okay, and I'm gonna guarantee you that somebody associated with the current administration or Project
Oh,
2025 Hey, how can we like distract? What else can we do to distract?
1000%. I had to move away from the
Unbelievable.
microphone because it's just like, yes,
I mean, the way you
absolutely.
said Liberty, I mean, you could say other than Liberty Mutual, which is an insurance company, if you say Liberty anything,
Yeah,
oh, oh, Project 2025, conservative Christian, hypocrites, blah,
yes.
blah.
So, so basically,
People wonder
they're
why atheism is on the rise.
so they bring this one. They bring Kim Davis, the perfect example of what marriage should be in the United States.
Right?
And
Oh,
they are claiming that Obergefell was wrongly decided and that it conflicts with First Amendment protections, which particularly ones that relate to religious freedom and to the freedom of speech. And they labeled the ruling as a legal fiction, is legal fiction. Um, and they're arguing that it unfairly punishes those who hold traditional beliefs about marriage.
I'm just and I think the important thing for anyone, this is the thing I keep trying to say to people. This we're knee jerk reacting to this because nothing's been filed. This is such a this is such an obvious distraction technique that it
Yeah,
is
and
uh I don't want to say laughable because it's got teeth to it.
yes,
Um
because they've tried to file, and lower courts have just rejected the appeals. They're just like, no, we're not going to look at it. It's a, like it,
yeah, frivolous lawsuit.
it's the law. She violated the law. There's not a case here. Um, and so now they basically have, because the lower courts have rejected it, and you know how the appeal process works. Now it's up to the Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court even decides to look at it, because the Supreme Court could just reject it. They could just say, no, we're not going to look, like, we're not even going to look at it. Just, it's ruled. Fuck yourself. But you know, we thought they would do that for Roe v. Wade, so and they didn't. So who fucking knows?
See, that's the thing. I mean, I think that the platform of hate and fear that the current administration operates on leaches out to the rest of us with the. Did I say hope and fear or hate and fear? I meant
Uh,
hate.
yeah, hate and fear. I heard hate
Uh,
and fear. I'm
okay,
not sure what you said,
yeah.
just because I know
Uh,
it's your.
but this is well, it is, and this is my argument. You know, hate and fear. It's so easy to succumb to that. I think even after time after a period of time, even the most level of us will succumb to responding. I'm not going to respond in hate. I'm going to respond in anger, or I'm going to respond in outrage and fear. You know, I think that's why it's so important that we keep our heads and that we don't. I can be outraged, but I'm not filled with anger. And I had to disconnect from a family member this week over that because he internalized my outrage as my being consumed with anger.
Right.
I mean, friends, big difference. If you know me, you know, you would know if I was angry.
Right. Yeah. I
Any,
mean,
anybody that knows
and
me.
I think anybody that watches our show long enough, I mean, we're pretty fiery personalities. I mean, can you imagine my mom being angry and then just being like, I no, like no,
No,
and it's like it's yeah,
I don't have time for that. Listen, I'm 64. I do not have time to be angry. I have time to be outraged because I can set my outrage aside.
right.
I can set my outrage aside and say, you know what? This is
Well, and
not the moment.
you could turn it into action.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess my point is also that I am able to set my outrage aside and say, I need to focus on caring for my husband. I need to focus on making
Right.
these quilts and giving them to the community. I need to focus on me exercising, walking, eating, whatever.
Right.
And then I research the things that I'm outraged about, and you and I come on here and I, as you say, convert that outrage into action.
Right.
Anger is where you're just consumed with it, and I am not. I'm not going to give any orange monkey the ability to live rent free in my head.
Right.
Cannot do it. And
Yeah.
I don't often call him names, and that was an indulgence.
I don't know. Fuck them.
Okay, tell me how you're really feeling.
Fuck that guy. No.
Hey,
So
wait, did you notice that the big conversation now is that he has not tweeted any or posted on Truth Social in 24 hours except for like four letters that look like the beginning of some word and then nothing?
So yeah, I saw that is that what that was? I saw that Bella post today.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, this is okay. This is the funny thing.
More
I
just
I am a really big fan of the Wheel of Time books for anybody that's read them. There is
I
a
don't even know what those are.
it's just a fantasy series written by Robert Jordan. It's like 14
Okay.
books. There's a character in them. It's a horse. Her name is Bella. And so I actually didn't know about that tweet until I was scrolling through. I think it was Reddit. I was scrolling through, and it was just a post on the Wheel of Time subreddit that just said Bella, and it was Trump's post. And I was like, what is this about?
No
And that
way.
was the only reason that I knew about it. So maybe he fucking keeled over mid tweet.
I'm just telling you. Oh, it looks like he's posted. Somebody's posted. Oh,
Oh,
he reposted.
okay.
He posted social media posts saying that Ukraine needs to cede uh, part of its territory to Russia. Of course he did. Oh my God. Okay, so I mean, honestly, I don't see the value in beating up the concept of same-sex marriage being overturned because it's so far it's like such a distant possibility.
Well, again, people thought the same thing about Roe versus Wade because, and I talked to, again, our legal friend about this. He actually agrees with with the new ruling. His argument that they shouldn't have overturned it is because it's been law for so long. That overturning it is unprecedented because if the Supreme Court in general, usually whenever if something's ruled on,
Mhm.
the longer that rule is in place as law, the less likely. In fact, the closer to impossibility it is that they're going to overturn it later.
Did he say that he thought it was overturned because the court was stacked?
Yeah, think that is his opinion. I don't want
Yeah.
to. I don't want to speak. I don't want to speak
No.
for him.
And
But that was. Oh,
since nobody knows who he is, even if we misspeak, we haven't impugned his reputation.
I just don't want it to. I don't want to. Yeah.
So, I think, and here's what bothers me about the whole concept of Roe versus Wade being tossed back to the states, and now the argument being the same should happen with same-sex marriage. Okay, if you're going to toss things back to the states, then you can't threaten the states if they don't do what you want.
Right.
You're
Well, I
giving,
mean, the Conservative Party has long forsaken the being the party of states' rights. It's such a, it's
I mean, I don't even know that, can we, I don't, I'm going to argue that I think, and I'll say it again, 2027, especially with what Gavin Newsom is doing, I think 2027, I know people are focused on the midterms, but I think after the midterms is where we're really going to see a lot of turmoil and upheaval.
there's
And
arguments that the reason we're doing all the shit we're doing in DC right now is to curb the possibility of
although
our.
I think he's hedging his bets that the gerrymandering is not going to work because I don't think he expected the Democrats, but I don't think he expected. I don't care how you feel about Gavin Newsom. He gets a gold star for his trolling. He
This
is doing
shit is fucking
level,
hilarious.
Olympic level trolling. I
It's
mean,
fucking hilarious.
his commercial, like the commercial the ad he produced,
Yes.
I mean, and I don't remember the name of his media person, but she is the bomb. I mean, he's kicking ass and taking names right now, and that's what the Democrats needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that the current administration is hedging their bets that the gerrymandering is not going to work because I believe um, quite a few experts, I don't know if that's the right word, quite a few experts have done the um, modeling to show that if the Democratic states did the same thing, that it would easily and
Yeah.
unarguably be a Democratic House and Senate.
Well, and that's I mean, I fucking hate gerrymandering so much. I don't care who it. I fucking hate it. I think
Now, let me
it's
say this though.
ridiculous.
The argument then is, well, then do we no district? I mean, how do you have representation? How do
Yeah,
you
no,
split?
I
Do you just draw straight lines everywhere?
well, I think
Well, see,
okay,
I guess the
okay, no,
question
no. Here's
is,
actually I got a really good one for you
okay.
because there is a potential law that's going to be passed. Well, the law that's going to be put up in Congress that is a bipartisan bill that wants to lock gerrymander, that states won't be able to change their districts. They'll only be able to change their districts every 10 years. I would
Well,
support,
the law in Texas, and they got around it.
yeah, but that's because, okay, but we're talking about the difference between it being a federal law versus versus a state law, right? It being something that the federal government mandates to all the states versus,
And I don't argue, but in this current administration, even if it was a federal law and Texas was going around it, the current administration
yep.
supports
But my understanding
Texas.
is the way that Texas went around it was within the confines of the of a Texas law and constitution, and
Ah,
not just like outright just being like, oh yeah, we don't care. Like they're doing the same thing. They're kind of doing the same thing California did, because California is passing a bill basically saying, hey, we're going to do it. We're going to do it this one time, and then we're not going to do it anymore. And Texas kind of did the same thing. Although I think the Texas law that they passed wasn't that we're going to do it this one time. It's that, oh, now we can just do it whenever we want.
Democracy Docket did a really good thing, which I'm not going to bore people with, but not bore. I'm not going to assault you with this. It's pretty in depth. Three other ways to redistrict. Now he wrote it, or Page Moskowitz wrote it back in 2021, but it's talking about three different ways to do districting. Because I mean, you have to, you know, or do we have to? I mean, maybe we need to rethink the whole political process here.
Well, there's a couple of things. One, we need to double the size of Congress. Like I don't know
Why?
why that's not happened, but the way
Well,
that we
what's the advantage?
well, why? Because
Mhm.
if we doubled the amount of representatives, you would have to double the amount of districts. And so this whole problem becomes a lot more
It would be so
difficult for
gerrymander if you had double the
yeah, it would be
representatives.
harder. It would be way harder because they would have to they have to have enough districts to cover all your representatives, right? So then
So you couldn't gerrymander. You could
nearly
gerrymander.
as
It
effectively.
would be, yeah, it would be really hard.
Yeah.
But
Um
you're adding more expense, making the government top heavy. Maybe quit paying people so much.
I mean, yeah, cut salaries in half.
And it's almost like you pull a string and, well, but this is tied to that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm not saying that look, I'm not saying it would be easy. I'm not saying that
None of it'll be
yeah,
easy.
I'm offering this solution without all of the details, right? I'm saying if we doubled,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just pointing out that if we doubled it, yeah, there would be a lot that would need to happen in order to do that. But that in and of its, if we doubled it and then we went into the details and we found ways to work, we found solutions to all the cascading problems that it would cause by doubling it, we could have a more effective government.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I think I immediately go to, I mean, American style. I was gonna say, first of all, we talk like there's only one way to district, to redistrict or to create districts. I mean, America has its own different style than any other country. I mean, I just Googled now, what are the different types of districting in Canada? They draw the boundaries after each census, and they've been doing it since 1966, and it's considered successful.
Well, and
Um,
man, what's been pissing me off a little bit lately is the way that
Beyond all the
yeah, I
other
know.
things that we have going on
Yeah,
in the
I
world.
know, but whenever we're talking about this gerrymandering issue, and the Republicans like fucking goddamn Marjorie Taylor Greene just being
Uh,
all like, The only reason California has so many representatives is because they're counting their illegal citizens. And it's like, okay, lady, yeah, they're still living in the fucking state. They're just not voting for the representatives. It doesn't mean
And
that they're not
that's
living there.
okay, and therein lies a whole nother rabbit hole that I'm going to touch on just this much. The whole argument, let's go back to what you and I've talked about and all that research I did, the whole argument about how immigrants take. Friends, we have done research
A
from
shit ton of it.
arbitrary sources, not arbitrary, what's the word? And not ambiguous. What is it? Apolitical sources.
Right.
Statistics. We pulled statistics. Each undocumented immigrant has a net profit, brings a net profit to the
Yeah.
country of $1,000. Now multiply that $8,000. Let's say hell, even let's assume I'm wrong. Make it $5,000 times 11.4 million undocumented immigrants.
Yeah.
And how do you think these services that you talk about, how do you think they're paid for? And even if they're undocumented, they don't vote, to your point.
Yeah. Well, and it's still the difference between like trying to explain to these people the difference between undocumented migrants versus like legal migrants. I mean that would I recently was watching I was watching a debate recently where this for the Unfuck America tour where they were talking where they were more or less just pointing out that like okay yeah you keep calling people illegal immigrants, but they're not illegal. They came in, they sought asylum, they were brought in, they were given a court date, and then yeah, they were released into the United States.
Well,
But they have a court date. I mean, they're here under
back,
legal status.
and let's go back to your thing about how most MAGAs are not smart. Because where are they finding these undocumented immigrants? At work sites,
Yeah,
in court.
fucking Joe Rogan was talking about that.
I mean,
Why are they
finding
picking
them
these
at
people
their
up at Lowe's?
immigration office meeting.
Yeah, yeah. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. I think because we're on this longer format, I think whenever we get to these frustrating topics, we should always remind everyone, what do we do about it? Just
What do we do? Hey, you know what? And let's do that. So what do we do about that? Let's talk about that for a moment because I just have we've added someone to our list of uh recommended
yeah, the postcard,
action
right?
items. So the Indivisible Guide, and we have links to all these. Just look at the show description. So we have the Indivisible Guide, which is basically a PDF of how do you organize physically in your community, what you can do, how to set up a organized group of people, like-minded people, positive actions. Then Aaron will often, not today, but demonstrate how Five Calls app works, where
Right.
you can call your representatives. Super easy, super helpful. We also talk about how you can call your reps before and after office hours, so you don't have to talk to anybody. Card campaign is another thing you can do. Card campaign and actually Signs of Justice. Both of those have websites and Facebook pages where you can download digital postcards, print them, hand them out, or mail them. I have to say, as much as I love Card Campaign, Signs of Justice has a campaign going right now to get 1 million postcards into the hands of representatives, and they've already sent out they've already had 500,000 sent. And so basically, it's talking about how we're unified, that the majority of people believe that there should be a path to citizenship, that there should be safe and legal abortions, that there should be some other things, and I wish I could remember what they were.
Yeah.
So, Indivisible Guide, Five Calls, Card Campaign, Signs of Justice, and then the 5501 program, 5051, 50 states.
50
What is
it's 50 states like 50 protests, one movement.
50 states, 50 protests, one movement?
Yeah.
Um, let me see. I want to pull this up right now, actually.
Yeah, it's 50 protests, 50 states, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, there we go. And so majority project, that's what it is. The Signs of Justice is a majority project, and I'm going to pull this up.
I also want to bring up for anybody that is familiar with Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA, the Unfuck America tour is really big right now. They pulled in Destiny's a big political streamer. He's just going around the country with Unfuck America and just like debating maggots.
What happened to Bernie and AOC? Are they still going around?
I don't think so. And the
But
anti
if they got a movement started, that's good.
yeah, I
That was
mean,
okay. Let me show this real quick. It's easier to do it this way. 55, or I'm sorry, this is the Majority Project.
okay, yeah.
And these are the postcards that you print and send, which basically says they've got some unbiased research that says 80%, 86% of Americans want universal background checks for gun ownership. 74% believes trans right protections. 70% want safe and legal abortions, and 70% want paths to citizenship.
Here's the I love it.
The
No,
here's
I
the
was no sorry. I had somebody asked me the other day about how I feel about about firearms, and, especially firearm laws as a Marine, and I was like, I mean, I live in a state with constitutional carry. I obviously don't have a problem with it because I'm highly trained in weapon usage. I think though that you should have to go to a class to learn how
okay.
to safely and effectively use, disassemble.
I mean, I think
You
I want
know,
to speak to that because before we left Texas, we had I think it would be fair to say an arsenal. You
mm,
saw our
yeah, yeah,
weapon.
yeah,
I mean, hell, we had 5,000 rounds of ammunition. But we both practiced often. We
yeah.
went to classes to be sure we were proficient. I learned how to disassemble and reassemble my weapon. We had a gun safe that was just the bomb. Um, and so even as much as I love shooting, and as much as if in the country I was in at this moment had easier ways, I mean, it's not easy to get a weapon here. It's expensive and time consuming, and it has positive benefits because you don't have a lot of weapon crime here. Anyway, I'm with you. I think that why would it be unreasonable to, you're not asking for anything out of the ordinary. I mean, hell, you have to get a license to drive a vehicle. Why would you not have to have some sort of a training or background check to have a weapon?
Yeah, and I think I can understand the argument that people have. They're like, well, if you're going to do licensing, then you have to do registry. You have to make a registry, and if you have a registry of all the gun owners, that's what the Nazis did back in 1939.
So you're watching what the Nazis did
Yeah,
now.
I'm like,
I mean,
okay,
you gotta watch
okay,
Nazis.
but here's my thing. Here's my argument back. Okay, you you think that's gonna like they know you have a weapon. That makes them less inclined because they're like, wow, that's a lot of guns. That's a lot of people that own firearms.
Here's the thing.
Because it's like, why
You
didn't?
and I both know that the arguments are not logical.
Yeah,
They're emotional. And the fact that uh,
yeah.
anyway.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take. Once again,
Oh,
down the
no.
rabbit hole we go. We should talk about it sometime because I have a I'm gonna I'll just leave it off on my final take. My final take is I think you should be allowed to own pretty much anything as long as you can prove qualification to own it, right? And I mean some like operational things. I know people are like,
I
that's crazy.
I am not opposed to the universal background check. I don't want you to just know how to shoot a gun. I want to make sure that you don't have a nefarious reason
For
to
sure.
shoot. I have zero problem with people being prohibited from owning guns. I think if you have domestic violence in your
I mean, there's states that do that. There's states that make it.
I think if you have a criminal record of domestic violence, you should not be able to own a weapon
Yeah.
at all, period. So,
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, there's state laws that do that. And I could see the the argument where they're like, oh, well, states shouldn't be able to restrict the
yeah,
usage and
but
ownership of guns. But it's like,
states can restrict marriage and states can
yeah,
restrict
and the right to
access
abortion, or they can restrict.
to healthy, safe abortion.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, you can't pick and choose, and this is so I was watching a video I mean, I'm a retired behaviorist, and so I was watching a video about the repetition and the predictability of human behavior, just like in animals. Paleontologists, I'm a big fan of dinosaurs. I've taken courses at different colleges on paleontology.
Hmm.
And one of the interesting things that they do is they can recreate the scenario of a dinosaur living in the Mesozoic period pretty accurately because animal behavior doesn't change over millions of years. It doesn't change.
Right.
Uh, And so then that caused me to find some research on the same with human behavior. Human behavior doesn't change either.
Right.
We're animals, and so I was looking for demonstration of how that plays out. And if you think about how our culture is right now, although it is in a different format, we are behaving no differently than people did 100, 500, a
Right.
thousand years. And so I just say to myself, at what point in time, I mean, I do believe that we have the capacity to be more evolved, that we have the capacity to say, no, I'm not going to live in my lizard brain. I'm not going to give a knee-jerk reaction to anything that makes me uncomfortable and call it unholy. I mean, that's exactly what's happening here. We're uncomfortable with the fact that two men or two women get married, or that someone who physically appears to me to be a man says that, no, I feel more like a woman. Or I am a man, but I happen to like dresses. I know quite a few guys that are like, fuck that noise. I like skirts. My whole thing is, how is that any different than when women started wearing pants? And that was unholy.
Well, I mean, there's an entire culture that's built around men wearing skirts. I
Well,
mean,
can we please go back to, men with ruffles and high heels? I mean, so I mean, we literally behaviorally have not changed. There has to come a moment in time where we say, I want to do better. I want to be better. I want to quit reacting, this knee-jerk gut level reaction.
did you ever watch the and I just this pops into my head because I feel like it connects to a bigger thing that we need to get better about in general. Um, did you ever watch the Ezra Klein episode where he brought on, I can't remember her name, but the transgender House representative? So he
No.
brought a transgender House representative on to talk about trans issues. But one of the things that they hit on really well, in my opinion, and I've got friends that disagree, and I'm just going to say I don't care if we disagree on it. I whole ass think that it is an important take, that one of the problems that they have within the trans community is that you can't question whether anything is okay or not okay. And that if somebody just says, like, well, what they explain it better. I'm summarizing. You should go watch. You should go watch the episode. It's really good.
Ezra Klein
Yeah,
with
it says.
the
I'll look at it. It's Ezra
Yeah,
Klein.
send me a link later.
Yeah, because it's Ezra Klein, um, and what Sarah McBride.
Okay. I'm sure.
And yeah, and the name of the episode is "Why the Left Lost on Trans Rights." And McBride, she puts it, I think, very eloquently, where she basically points out that one of the
Right
reasons.
there, YouTube.
Yeah.
June 17th. It was just 2 months ago.
Yeah, and she talks about, like, one of the reasons why the left has lost that battle is because because we were just saying, well, everything's okay, even things that maybe shouldn't have been okay.
And I think that, but see, let me also, in my defense, I think there also comes this thing where, you've got a cis person. I can't tell you what's okay and what's not okay in your life. I I feel like that would be like me telling a black person what's okay in their culture, or me telling an Asian person what's okay in their culture. I think there's this thought that the whole trans community is a different culture, and I don't feel as if I am in a position to say what's okay. Now, can other people in the trans community speak up about things that aren't okay? Of
See,
course.
I think you and I actually disagree on that. I think that I think
Can you, maybe if you give an example, I could be more.
okay,
I,
well, and yeah, so
or should I watch
a,
the
a,
video?
no, a good example of how it connects. and they do talk about this in the video too. So whenever gay marriage, because we just got off that topic, whenever gay marriage was whenever they were trying to push for gay marriage to be legalized. Sorry, somebody's pulling my driveway. Do I know you? Or are you just turning around? Okay. The whenever gay marriage was being pushed for legalization, one of the biggest arguments, one of the best arguments that they had was that gay people were just trying to live their lives. They were just trying to live like normal everyday Americans, and they just wanted to have the ability to marry the person that they loved. And there are trans people that are arguing that I just want to live my life the way that I want. I want to have a normal. I want to have the appearance of the gender that I want to identify as, and I want to live my life that way. And then you have very vocal, like small vocal communities within the trans community that want to be kind of treated extra special for the things that they want to do. They want to be. I mean, they want to be non-binary. They want to be
Yeah, I get
like.
what you're saying, but a concrete example would be.
So right, there was a big controversy a while back with a trans identifying person who went to Disneyland. I don't know, it's a big online thing. They went to Disneyland and they were going into all the bathrooms at Disneyland and taking pictures in the bath of them in the mirror in the bathroom, and like rating the bathroom. And it brought to forward a bunch of questions. What, are they allowed to be in the women's bathroom? Now they're taking pictures in the women's bathroom. There's other women in the women's bathroom while they're taking pictures in the women's bathroom. And it is one of those. I'm not saying it is or isn't okay, but it is one of those situations where you can't say anything about it because it's a trans person.
Let me ask this question. Would we, of course I would say something, but my question is, if it was a man in a man's room, I mean, if it was anyone but a trans person, okay? If it was a cis white woman or a cis white male taking pictures in the bathroom and rating it, would we say anything? Would it have even gotten anybody's attention?
Probably not.
Who's actually doing, like, wanted to be treated extra? I don't sense that behavior, well, silly and inappropriate in a way, as long as they weren't taking pictures of anybody else. I mean, to me, the issue would be, was anyone in the picture?
Oh yeah,
but
there were other people in the pictures, but that's not even what the reason why I feel the problem is not that they were taking the pictures. The problem is that if you say anything about that, you can't ask the question at all. You can't, and that's kind of the point that, and again, you gotta watch it because.
Well, because I think because we feel awkward. Okay, because look at the awkwardness I felt because I didn't know how to say. I almost said, well, if it would have been a real woman, well, that's not very correct.
Right.
I have to say cis woman, and then I'm like, okay, I've crossed over this boundary here. I see what you're saying, but is the problem them or is the problem us?
I would say that the problem is that the problem is that we can't even have that conversation.
I think the problem's us. It would be almost like the situation where a woman behaves in a certain way and men come in and criticize it, and women are like, oh, well, you're a man, so you can't criticize me.
But I feel like that's the argument that the trans community uses a lot of the time. And that's actually something that Sarah McBride addresses in the discussion.
Watch of it.
So I think the issue is that the trans, I mean, it's not just trans community. I think the issue is that anytime we run into these topics where, oh, these people just want to live their lives. Yeah. I don't think anybody's telling you.
Nobody's arguing that, but if you're living your life out in the open and you're doing something that I want to comment on, I should be able to comment on.
And we should just have a conversation. And if I'm if I'm just a racist or bigoted asshole, then then shame me for it, right? Like whatever. But
the assumption automatically goes from zero to you are against trans people because you're criticizing me.
Right. Whereas we can never have an actual conversation on if that behavior was okay or not okay. And I'm not even saying it was or wasn't okay. Right.
This makes way more sense to me than it did at the beginning.
Yeah.
So, but this also then goes into the conversation. And I want to make 2 points here. So give me some grace. I'm going to say one thing and then I'm going to clarify it. This goes into the conversation that a lot of people feel where you can't criticize, question, dismiss, disparage a black person for saying or doing something because you don't want to be perceived as a racist. Okay. Now, to your point, just because I criticize a black person doesn't make me racist. It's the manner, method, means by which I make that criticism.
Yeah, it's the intent.
It's
And intent is difficult to
intent is,
prove. Yeah.
there's no way you cannot read someone's mind. I
Right.
have no idea what your heart and mind is. So that's why your manner, method, and mode are so
Right.
important.
Because they give. Yeah. Because they give.
And it's almost as if once you're accused of being a racist, how do you get out of that? It's kind of like, Aaron, have you quit beating your wife?
Yeah. It's just no. I know. And I mean
No,
that's.
wait, yes. No, wait. I never
Well,
did.
see, that is the biggest problem I would say, at least in the online spaces right now. I mean, there's a
I appreciate you
like,
explaining it.
yeah.
That makes sense to me now. Now, here's the other thing that I was going to say about racism, and it's a rabbit hole. Rabbit hole alert. We need a little sign. You know the signs that they held up in that stupid
Oh my God, no!
rally?
Don't
We need signs like that have a little rabbit on it.
don't make me quit the Democratic Party again.
Rabbit
No,
hole alert.
just
Rabbit hole alert. I'm
yeah,
gonna make one. I'm gonna make a rabbit hole alert. Anyway, so the whole time we have been talking with MAGA, they're like, we're not racist, we're not racist. And then within 6 months of the inauguration, we have entire communities white only being established.
yeah.
MAGA. So
We talked about that last episode.
right. So the point is that your behavior really does identify whether you're racist, your overall pattern of behavior. But you've identified something that I think is super important for us to talk about in another episode or in this episode. Hell, we have time. That we as cis white people need to be able to ask questions about the behavior of other groups of people without automatically being assumed to be racist or anti-trans or anti-gay or anti whatever it is we're questioning.
Right. I would say that and this is going to sound really bad, but I don't care. I would say that it is particularly true if the communities themselves, or if there is no evidence of self-policing, if that makes sense, right? Like if your argument is that, say only black people can talk about black issues, I would say that one, it seems like you're trying to fight with one hand behind your back because there are white people that are in support of helping solve black issues. But two, then all you're doing is you're just whole ass alienating people that could be potential allies to your movement. And so, like in the trans example, it would be like, like that, like the person that's going around taking pictures in the Disney bathrooms, and then people are criticizing them and like, oh, well, you're not trans, so you can't criticize them. It just seems like,
Now, I will say, in defense of the many Black people that I know who try to have intelligent conversations on social media, there are conversations that white people should just shut up and learn from.
I mean, sure, I'm not saying that there's not. I'm
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
It didn't sound like that. So I
Okay.
just want to be sure
I
that there.
I'm not trying to articulate that there are not experiences within the black community that I have no that I have don't have anything to say on. Just like, and vice versa. There are experiences with white people that maybe other races also don't really know about or could comment on. I would say that it's universal across every community that there are just experiences.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I agree with the concept that there are different communities. I say I don't agree because I just don't think white people have a culture. We
Yeah.
just it's white. That's our culture. We're white.
Yeah.
White village bitches. That's what we are. Um anyway, no, I love this. And actually I Googled this. The 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 TikToker Lily Tino's viral Disney bathroom selfie. And so Florida, of course it was Florida. She should have known better than to go to Florida. Investigated her for unauthorized restroom photos and possible criminal charges. This was back in June. but there's no update.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't follow it because it wasn't, it's not in the purview of my.
Well, it does appear though, and let's go back to my original question. It does appear that part of the problem was that there were the faces of the people in the bathroom were not blurred, that you could clearly see the other people in the bathroom.
Yeah, and as my understanding too that the TikToker in question has like a ton of other questionable content. I guess she did some like OnlyFans content. She's done, yeah. So
I'm
there's
opposed to OnlyFans.
I'm not
I'm
opposed to I'm not saying that I'm opposed to that either. I'm just saying that there was like there have been other controversies with with them, and that this was just like another card
and I
stacked on the
say
deck.
they're not. Florida's not playing because here's a little update. It said if she's convicted of any of the things, she could face up to 5 years in prison and a $5,000 fine.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, and I've not followed it. So it was just the example I used.
No, I think I mean, let me say this, these are difficult conversations. And we can't back away from difficult conversations, even if they're awkward and uncomfortable, and we could have 3 or 4 different trans people on to help us navigate the conversations. And each one of them is probably going to have different ideas and suggestions and preferences and how we do it. I think if we approach these difficult conversations with at least the intention of understanding. I mean, I just want to figure out how do we, and can we go back to what I said earlier? Can't we all just be nice? Can't we all just behave?
Yeah,
Can't we
well,
all be hard, like raise our, what? Why?
and I say this, this is one of those things that's like I'm going to say, but but people that don't actually believe it say this all the time. If you should be allowed to live however you want, and I now you'll hear people say that wearing the fucking red hat at the same time. So I get that statement is meaningless.
Because what follows that is I think you should live whatever way you want, but
Right.
you're just saying I think you should live whatever way you want,
Exactly.
period. And addition to that expectation, there are certain uh, behavioral norms that I think are appropriate, like not taking pictures of other people in the bathroom.
Right. And I guess to go even further, we should be able to have conversations about these things. And if we, it shouldn't be just like, oh no, we can't talk, like we can't
But
have
let's be
talk
honest,
about it at
Aaron. This
all.
this goes back to that lizard brain that we talked about. Let's assume, like okay, 2 instances in the last 2 weeks where I had to block people.
Right.
I'm trying to have conversations about 2 entirely different things. One is the MAGA rush, and he's going down hateful, rabbit holes. The other one is a family member who can't seem to separate rage, anger and rage from outrage and resistance. Why can't we have reasonable conversations? You talk about this all the damn time. Good faith.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no. Yeah.
I actually did a blog about this because you've said it so much, it made me research it. And so I did a blog on Medium where I did a bunch of research on, because behaviorally, you would think I would know this, but I really didn't dive into the good faith, bad faith conversation. We talk about narcissists and we talk about, people who are manipulators and all that, but the good faith, bad faith conversation is pretty profound, Aaron.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
you talk about that all the time.
well, I talk about it all the time because and it's been a while since I've dived back into it, but because of the online debate sphere of like, if we're gonna have a debate, we both have to be approaching it from a position of good faith. And if you're gonna be disingenuous during the debate, then I'm not gonna grant you anything. Like there have been, I mean, there have been whole ass debates that I've participated in. There have been debates that I've watched, where, because I watch way more than I participate. But there's been the ones where you like watch the debate and you can just, the person that's on, one person is like trying to approach it and like help me understand your position, this and that, and then that person, the person that they're debating with, will get like when I say they're bad faith, they'll get hung up on like the semantics of definitions. It's like
right?
we can't
Or
even really debate
listen,
because you won't even acknowledge my definition of this thing. We're not even arguing about, and then they'll try to grandstand and be like, yeah, of course, because I think what you're talking about doesn't even exist. And it's like, yeah, but you're not debating whether or not it exists. That's a bad faith debate tactic. You should be engaging with their definition, and instead of just trying to dismantle it with like through definitional semantics.
but see, you know what that is? I mean, again, I think I am a bit I'm not gonna say embarrassed. I'm pulling this thing up right now. I'm a bit embarrassed that I didn't know more about the behavioral aspects of the good faith, bad faith conversation. But basically, what I did discover is that one of the things is that you have to enter into the conversation with a willingness to be open to what the other person is saying,
Right.
not just what they mean, but like, um that you're you're acknowledging, okay, you're using this word to mean this, I'm going to go with that, I'm
Right.
going to your side. But what you're talking about is this flex. I need you to agree on a different name for
Yeah, well,
whatever.
and like it drives me I'm a little triggered. It drives me fucking crazy whenever I watch these debates and you're almost like blue balled on the topic because they're unable to engage in good faith. They're unable to grant your definition so that way they can actually debate the topic. No, I'm gonna get hung up on the way that you defined it. I'm gonna get hung up
You know what
on.
that is? That's a deflection.
Yeah.
It's a pure, unadulterated deflection.
Yes.
It's it's a it's a what is the word I'm looking for? A control tactic. It's a control tactic. It's a different rabbit hole, but you really, I just want to say, and my art, the blog's on Medium. It's behind a paywall, so if you don't have a Medium membership, you
You
can't
won't be able
read
to read it. Yeah.
it. But the thing is that the thing is, here's the list. And again, you are the one who got me started on this. But the argument stop, the behavioral tells of a bad faith is personal attacks, where they say, and my
Oh,
favorite, don't get defensive. Or like this family member who kept saying, "You're so angry." Well, I wasn't until this conversation.
yeah. There's nothing that pisses me off more than you telling
I
me I'm
am
angry when I'm not fucking angry.
right.
Now I am.
Angry.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Or it's like my favorite that Rush used to use. You just don't get it.
Oh, I actually have a really great rebuttal to that if you want to know. Because
I hope.
I used to get into, used to always get that. You just don't understand what I'm saying. And I would go, no, I understand what you're saying. I disagree with what you're saying. Those aren't the same thing.
Well,
I
and
hear
that's what
you. I hear you loud and clear. I think you're just
really,
wrong.
and that's why, as part of this good faith, bad faith discussion, when you repeat back to them what they've said, they can't say you just don't get it.
They will. What they'll do is they'll say, no, that's not what I was saying," and then they'll change what they were saying.
Oh, they move
Yeah,
goalposts.
yeah, and
That's it.
yeah, and then we'll
That's
just move the
it.
goal. I understood what you said. Oh, well, what did I say? Well, you said this. Well, that's not what I was saying. What I was saying was this. I'm like, no,
That's not what I meant.
that. Sorry, let's back up. I'm gonna rewind the VOD so I can double check what you said.
This is 100%. And I will tell you that part of what I'm learning in this resistance movement that we're part of is that part of the distraction can be arguing with these people, that I will have a debate all day long with someone who's debating in good faith.
Yeah,
I really want to understand your point of view. I want to understand how you got there. But every single, and this is without exception, every single MAGA. Now, I'm not talking about Republicans or conservatives. I'm talking MAGA. Every single one argues in bad faith.
yeah. I mean, I agree 100%. I
And
said,
we've tried. I mean, we have documented like all the times we've tried.
Well, yeah, and I think what this is actually where I'm gonna be a little amused. Do you remember whenever we were first starting the show and I was telling you how hard how hard I struggled with trying to be like more calm and reasonable when I talked to MAGA people, and that and I realized after the fact that the reason why I had such a hard time with it is because you were, and I mean this like you were a little behind on the debating MAGA people, whereas I was like way up front, and so you were still
Because
back. Yeah.
I never expect, and you're 100% correct, because I was like, well, just,
Come on, you just got to give them a chance. And all I'm thinking is, I mean,
and
we can try it again.
you were like, oh, okay. I mean, you were a good sport about it. But in my, let's see, 60, in my 30 some year history of having difficult conversations with people, with companies, with groups, I have never had the difficulty in conversation that I've had with MAGA. Literally, it's like talking to a rock with a tape recording of, you just don't understand. No, that's not what I meant. You know,
Yeah.
you're wrong. You just don't, you know, your data's wrong. Fake news. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
And
just,
I mean, and you know, like, that's why I don't have patience whenever, even,
you're quicker. I'm better at it now. You can identify the bad faith behaviors that I just did research on and wrote down. I have never dealt with it in such quantity, and you debated so much. You were like 5 sentences into a debate, you're like, oh, fuck that noise. This guy's,
yeah.
bad faith.
And I mean, I, yes, but I just, yes, it's because I had to learn, I had to learn all, and that's why I had to learn all kinds of ways to like, basically get to the point where like, okay, if you're not going to engage seriously, then I'm just going to start calling you a dumb piece of shit. That's all we're going to do now. I'm just going to call you a dumb piece of shit until you go away.
Because I mean, honestly, I don't disagree. I just block and move on. But you're like, no, I need a little satisfaction
Yeah.
out of
uh, you got yours. I'm fucking getting mine. Yeah. But yeah,
it.
I mean, it's like, you know, you'll ask them the same question and they won't answer it. They'll say, oh, you don't understand. You go, okay, no, I do understand. This is what you said. And then they'll change it. And you say, okay, let's just move the goalpost. And then you just realize like, okay, you're not going to seriously engage with this conversation. Then I'm just going to call you a dumbass until
Dumbass. And that was probably the most difficult part of cutting off Rush and cutting off this family member, was I really wanted to have a good conversation.
mm-hmm.
I really, really wanted to. And the frustrating thing, and you know this, and like you say, I was behind. It took me all this time. Like, we started this back in, well, we started recording back in January. And it's literally taken me 8 months, 7 months to catch up to where you are, to just say, okay,
All right.
I don't have any time for this. But I don't want to, because the people I'm cutting, I already cut off all the acquaintances early on, because my page used to be full of debate and discussion, but the minute they became MAGA, it turned sour. And
Right.
they were not open. They got into name calling, they got into all this ugliness. And but now I'm like,
Yeah, and I'm
okay.
all about that blood sport debating.
You are.
I'm not saying that people have to be, but like, I mean, you
No,
know,
but see, remember, I cut off all the people that I would have been ugly to as a means of, lizard brain satisfaction for the pain in the ass they are.
yeah,
Cut them off a long time ago. I was holding on to family and close friends with the hope that I could, get through.
yeah, or that there would at least be some kind of common
I mean,
ground, or that they would reach common decency. Because I mean, the thing that I think I find most crazy, at least like now, about the MAGA side of the whole thing is like, whenever people are now coming, I mean, we've talked about this. If you're switching sides, come on over, buddy. Okay.
come on over.
Yeah.
If you're MAGA, come on over.
Yeah.
We'll take you.
Yeah. We can switch sides. No problem. What I find interesting is that the point at which it took for them to switch sides. It wasn't whenever people were being black bagged on the streets and taken by masked agents that were presumably ICE to unknown locations and then being put on planes and shipped off to another country. No, that wasn't the line. It wasn't whenever they took away a woman's right to control her own body and we're going to make it a states' rights issue. Nope, that wasn't it. I mean, for almost all of them, it seems like it's the Jeffrey Epstein thing. And I'll say this: I mean,
Thank God, baby,
thank
that
God some of you
pedophilia.
aren't okay with pedophilia.
But I will tell you what, and this is what really got under Russia's skin was, hey, you know what? I didn't, I'm disappointed that I didn't realize that you were comfortable defending a pedophile. Well, he's not. Well, then he should release the Epstein files and prove it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, it wouldn't even be that hard. And I mean, and yeah.
But see, this is a perfect
I'm gonna stand
example
up
of
and stretch. I'm listening.
sure, sure. This is a perfect example though of when you get dug in so deep that you can't, I mean, honestly, you can't back out. But you and I both know if you are MAGA and or if you watch this and you're like, God, I really did get screwed up. I was tricked. I made a mistake, whatever. We're like, hell yes. Uh
Anything okay?
yeah, it is.
I
It's
just want to make sure.
it's no, it's our the owner of the house that we're in right
Oh,
now.
okay.
And
Just following up on the breaker issue.
yeah, following up on the
Okay. Yeah,
breaker.
yeah.
Um
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you up, but yeah.
well, and that's why I say, you know what, if you're on MAGA and you're coming back over, yes, but no. Yes, and not but. Yes, welcome. Welcome to Hopeful Resistance. If you are ex MAGA, want to be ex MAGA, welcome to Hopeful Resistance. And the next question is, what are you going to do now? What are you going to do about it? Because we are all about welcoming, anyone who regrets their decision, feels like they were deceived, pedophilia was the red line for you. Yes, welcome. Now, what matters is what happens next.
Yes.
And so we are all about that. And
And that's yeah. I mean, that's really. I like us. We're 100%
yeah,
aligned on that.
yeah. Um, so okay, what else? We had so many things. Oh, we were going to talk about, so we skimmed over the Epstein files because we've talked about it so much in other episodes.
Yes.
We are totally not even going to approach the Obama issue because that's just bullshit.
I did.
The
I did like, because I remember that was before I went on the leave, and the only thing that I'll say is I did like the Obama response where it's like we've been we've avoided talking about what the current what's going on within the current administration, just for out of respect for the office of the president. But we are kind of being forced to say something, and what we're coming out to say is that it's all not true, and that it's baseless. This is
well,
baseless
I mean, this
accusations.
is the thing. And again, back to the conversation with Rush, where he left the whole Epstein thing to talk about what about the 23 Secret Service people. I'm like, what about documentation?
Y-
All that you have is the word of,
Yeah.
I,
What about the Mueller report? That's the easy counter to that entire argument. What about the Mueller report?
right? And so I think,
Yeah. All right.
yeah. And we talked about
Anyway, so
yeah.
yeah, we're not gonna talk about the Obama thing. I promise. It was just one.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about the Obama thing, but let me
But
just.
just real quick. Go ahead.
That's so perfect. That is so perfect. I've got to run and check on something. So, do you want to pause and we'll come back?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll go follow up, see what everybody's doing, and then I'll put us in the. We finally get to use the idle screen.
You get to use the idle screen. I'm so excited. All right. So let's say 5 minutes.
Um, yeah.
Okay.
Love you. I'll see you in a bit.
Okay. Love you too. I'll be right back. And we're back. Not to be confused with being back. So, there is one other great, big, huge thing that I'd like for us to chat about because you are certainly more passionate or more experienced, I guess, maybe, is the takeover of Washington. Yeah, I'd like to talk about that. I think the thing that's important to talk about is there is nothing illegal that's been done. There's questionable, there's gray, the typical current administration gray. Um, but you see this as being part of a bigger picture or practice for next year or what? Now he's asked for an extension already. Right. One of the Yeah, it's one of the 10, 11, yeah, it's like one of the 10 or 11 things that I list as being the top issues is where, you're weaponizing the military to intimidate the American people. And I mean, that's a problem for me. And then I think the bigger problem, or no, what is the bigger problem is the threat to democracy. So we can't keep saying the bigger problem. A problem under the threat to democracy is the manipulation of data because one of the current administration's machinations on why he was able to do this was the high crime rate. Yeah, last year I think 2024 it was insanely low. Members do not support the current administration's. Um, That's an rhetoric, yeah. So you're saying that they said that the DC, okay. Well, now let me say this: the Pam Bondi had named a DEA administrator as the emergency DC police chief, but it looks like the the police chief got she made a deal and was allowed to stay in command, but I am not finding anything about a prior police chief being, I mean, there's, let's say this though, the news moves so freaking fast. I have got to, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. Apparently, you've got to always have to type in the right thing to get what you want. Why are you guys? But you know what? Honestly, I don't wade. I kind of tip my toe in, but with our Hopeful Resistance page on Facebook, I do use that as a platform to check out. Come here. I use that as a platform. Like, okay, I literally talked when we started the page. It's called Hopeful Resistance, for God's sake. And the algorithm is still shooting all of these crazy right wing, super ultra conservative, neo Nazi pages. And I'm like, what the? Yeah. That was almost creepier than anything else. And the other thing that I thought was so interesting is the family member that I disconnected from. His commentary was he never saw anything positive that I posted and only saw the political rantings. And I thought that was interesting too. Timmy, you're hurting me, dude. You're hurting me. Huh? Can you stop hurting me? You're... Oh. Okay, but when is that dated? Okay, so this is a month ago and was suspended by who? Right. And so again, this is the narrative that the current administration writes and then makes the situation comply with it. But the folks who love conspiracy theories, I mean, think about what's going on here that's feeding the deep state narrative. Okay, the Department of Labor statistics are wrong. Oh, now look, Washington, D.C. crime statistics are wrong. And I mean, just over and over again, there was a, back in Germany, there what during the Nazi regime buildup, I guess, there was a woman who wrote an article or a book of some kind, and she talked about how one of the first dynamics of this sort of a takeover, a regime building power, is to make you distrust everything. Distrust everything but me. And all I could think of was again with Rich, I'm sorry, with Rush, it didn't matter the Stanford, Harvard, because these universities were all of a sudden discredited. So none of their research mattered. The CDC is wrong because his whole big thing about the whole COVID vaccine. And then the National Institutes of Health was wrong. And I'm like, okay, so none of these scientific bodies, people who spent their entire lives studying biology and science, none of them are to be believed. But people in the current administration who make a web page that say believe this are to. That's the. Okay. Guy of the police union. So this again, that's wrong. If that's what was happening. Now, does it legitimately mean then that violent crime is up? We will not know under the current administration. We will not know because who's going to document that? All right. Yeah, 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 yeah. I will also say, I will also say this. I think it's important to note that the Fraternal Order of Police did endorse Trump, but they rescinded that endorsement, I believe, after he pardoned the J6 folk. And so the head of the DC Police Union um, has made a statement that, and I'm not reading the statement, but basically it says it doesn't view the federal takeover as a long-term solution, and that the root causes of their problem with the leadership must be addressed. My question then becomes, because what I was Googling was, did the DC police union support Trump? Because I'm thinking, okay, are they just kowtowing to the narrative? But there does appear, to your point, there does appear to have been a problem with the documentation. So again, you and I say I love to be wrong. I love to be wrong. If I was wrong about this is a, I never ever thought that this was a coup that his bringing the National Guard into DC was a coup because the coup is already taking place in other ways. But I did question why was what was the reason was. What is the reason for bringing the DC, bringing the National Guard into DC to bring down crime? Because if that is the case, then he is putting the National Guard in positions of enforcement. 'Yeah, and because wasn't the other thing, and again, I have to confess, there's so much going on. I didn't research this, but wasn't the other issue was homelessness? So my question becomes, what have they done with the homeless? Where did they ship them? Where have they taken them? Did they black bag them? And they're, yeah, that's have to laugh, or I will say, despair does set in if we can't find humor. Yeah. Because they told those during Vietnam, those were conscientious objectors. Well, they know, but you're not always free of the consequences. Or oh, she's a family member. Okay, because she's a family member who posted this on Threads. Her knee-jerk comment may have been, "Oh, he's going to get court-martialed," but the reality is he might just get an NJP, like some sort of a public court action. Is that a dishonorable discharge? You're still in the military, but you're being punished for something. It, I wouldn't say could have name him, but I think your older brother went through that at one point. Yeah. Yes, and not public. If he rejected that and went to the court martial, then there would be a public trial or a trial that the public would have access to in some way. Not have, not have provided less information. can say this is the first person that I've known, because I know her, digitally. This is the first time I've heard of somebody refusing an order since this started. I did not hear of anybody refusing orders for the LA deployment. This is the first time I've heard of it. So that's why I tagged you, because I think it will just be interesting. But I want to back out of the rabbit hole a little bit and say I think for this moment, because we know how quickly things change and how batshit crazy stuff is. For this moment, the fact that there are National Guard troops in DC, I don't see that as a cause for alarm. I think it is a distraction technique. Again, back to the Epstein files. Um, because my thought is the gerrymandering, back to gerrymandering. Let's look at this other rabbit hole. Uh, the gerrymandering in Texas would not be taking place if they were not worried about the upcoming midterms. And so the fact that they're positioning and going through some posturing to gerrymander against midterms tells me that they still plan on having a vote. I know that there have been rumor, innuendo, snide remarks about, we're not going to have another election. I just don't see, I don't see that right now. Now, does it mean that it will or won't happen? Listen, we're 200 and some days into this administration. If you would have told me half the shit that happened would have happened, I would have said you were full of crap.
I've been
What?
muted. We didn't do a sound check when we came back.
You've been muted the whole
Yeah, the whole
time?
time.
How'd you
Because
find out? Who
I
told you?
just looked over and realized my mic was muted.
Oh, honey,
It's all
that's
right.
like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I know. It's
But we're recording.
yeah, I know. So it'll get
It'll
uploaded
be one way or the
correctly.
other. And we'll put in the thing that there's a
Yeah. I'll put it. Well, man, I'm
yeah.
annoyed. I just freaking forgot to check it. You know what I need to? You know what I just need to start muting this thing because when I mute this, I can tell it's muted.
You're the sound engineer, man.
All my fault.
I was gonna say we should probably check with the sound engineer and see what he
Yeah,
thinks.
hang on. You know what? I'm gonna check with that motherfucker right now. Hey, asshole. Why was the mic muted? Well, I don't know, boss. You're fucking terrible at your job. Yeah, I know.
Fired. Fired.
uh,
Hey, you know what? We're doing the
so
best we can. If I
that'll be
say
in
that
the VOD.
say that one time a day, I say it 20 times a day. I'm doing the best I
I'm doing
can.
the best I can.
All I can say.
It's so frustrating. I lost my train of thought because I looked over and
I
saw
was
it.
gonna say I don't even know what we talked about. We can't even go back and recreate that conversation.
No, that's why it's good that we
But
record.
at least this time we have a recording.
Yes. All right. So I know. So we were talking about the National Guard, and they're deployed to DC right now. And it's all a big distraction. For the gerrymandering, they're worried they're going to lose the midterms. That's where we're at.
Well, and I will say this. I mean, I will say that we are going to start talking more about the midterms, who's running, how many. I keep saying I'm going to make a list, but I keep praying to baby Jesus that somebody else will have, produced a list. Um, I'm not seeing that happen, although Ariel M has talked about it.
Yeah. Oh no, I was gonna. What we were hitting on was people were talking about how there's not going to be. Oh, there's not going to be another election, and I was recently watching a liberalism versus communism debate where they were talking about how communists got elected in some other countries, and that once their terms were up, they forfeited the power and moved on. There is some speculation that the reason that we would continue having an election, even though Trump is an authoritarian person, that he would still cede power. And there's also the
I think it's
crazy,
I think it's arguable. I
yeah,
mean, I believe I believe, and you and I agree that we're not going to run down that rabbit hole. But
yeah,
I do believe that the election was not fair. Fair is not the right word. I believe that the election had some outside influence as to the results.
yeah. I'm not gonna put it. There's the as far as I know, there's still lawsuits that haven't been ruled
Yeah,
out. I think they're still in discovery
yeah. Because
about the questionable nature of the.
but I will also say that part of resistance is about not capitulating early.
Right,
So I'm going to operate until I'm going to operate that there are going to be elections until you can prove to me that there are not.
right, and just saying, yeah,
And I just think saying that there won't be elections and all the sky is falling rhetoric is not helpful. Okay, so I think in the last 15 minutes here, I can't. If you would have told me we could have talked for 2 hours, when you said let's do 2 hours, I was like, we'll do an hour and 15 and be done.
yeah,
And even before we started, I said, what are we going to do if we run out of stuff to talk about? And you're like, well, we're just going to fake it. And here I look up and it's, an hour and
yeah,
45
and
minutes.
that's with a break. And for those that are watching, there was like 20 minutes of no audio from my end. So I mean,
So I was just talking to myself.
yeah,
I probably sounded kind of, what's funny? I promise you, you will learn at your age, you guys, when there's a mistake, you guys just beat the shit up out of yourself for stuff like that. And you hate it and you hate it and it grinds you.
a
But
lot of that is more Marine Corps
well,
than
I
anything.
can
But
tell you though, there's going to come a time where you're going to go, well, whatever.
yeah,
Because, it just is.
true.
Okay, so here is uh, action items. I think, let me run through them quickly and then you do your fabulous little summary, as you always do uh, about the thing.
Yeah,
So there are five things. One, two, three, four. Is that right? One, two, three, four. There are five things that we talk about that you can do very specifically. The Indivisible Guide, and these are all linked in the show page. So the Indivisible Guide, which talks about how do you coordinate people in your community. Then we have the Five Calls app, which tells you, I think it's one of the more crucial things you can do, is to how to call your reps. It even gives you speeches, little scripts. The Card Campaign and Signs of Justice, those both have downloadable printable cards that you can send to your representatives. And statistically, representatives respond to volume. Tons of calls, tons of mail, about the same thing. Um, and also, Signs of Justice actually makes signs that you can put in your front yard. And so I think that's pretty cool. And then, of course, the 5501 is 50 states, 50 protests, one cause, or all on one day, 5051. And we have links to that. Now, beyond that, none of these appeal to you? Bake cookies, help make signs.
that's my
Do
part. That's the no.
What's your sign? Okay, sorry.
No, it's no.
Aaron talks about if none of these sound good to you.
No, it's fine. I'm just freaking balls. I mean, it's yes. There is what I say every time is there is no form of resistance that is too small, and people get hung up on like, well, I don't have time to protest, or I don't have time to call my representative, or I don't have time to, you know what? Okay, it's all right if you don't. It's all right. Okay, I would just encourage you to find something that is contributive to your community, that is contributive to making the world a better place. Um,
Honestly, and I mean, you're literally like, okay, take a bunch of canned goods to the local,
yeah,
homeless shelter, or help your neighbor by mowing their lawn. I mean, we're living in difficult times right now, and I think part of resistance is joy. part of resistance is art and music and laughter and kindness, because the entire platform of this administration is hate and fear. And
Yes.
I can prove it to you, I can prove it to you. I don't even have to like
Yeah.
I don't even know why. And so, like Aaron's point is, okay, if none of this sounds good to you, then just be kind.
Yeah.
You know, there are people that have reached out to us where we've said bake cookies or make signs or offer to do administrative tasks within your local Democratic office, and they had not thought of it. So if you have something other than what we've mentioned, tell us. I mean, we're all about it. If you're an organization doing something in your neighborhood and you want us to mention you, we have 86 subscribers. Aaron, I remember when we had 19 and I was
Yeah.
six.
Yeah.
19
Yeah. And I'm
subscribers.
just, I'm glad I'm glad we're helping. And I
Yeah,
guess for me, that's the big one is I'm glad that there's people that watch and are like, oh, new
it's true.
information. Yeah.
That's right. And we're working to get better and making you know, um, better sound checks and
Yeah, I know.
that took a
That
minute.
that
That,
fucking sound guy.
that damn sound guy. We're gonna have to get a new one. Um,
Hey, you know what?
and we're
Sounds
like making.
good. Let's fucking do it.
That's right. Fire that guy. Making shorts and doing graphics. I mean, we're trying to do things that also make it a pleasant experience for you. But honestly, Aaron and I just want to make a difference, and that's why we're here. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, until we get together again, my friends. Bye for now.
Bye.